On that big story. Moving on now, Gaza's civil defense agencies reported today that a series of Israeli airstrikes have hit several displaced Palestinian encampments, killing at least 37 people. The agency confirmed that an overnight strike in the Al-Mawasi area of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza resulted in 16 deaths, including many women and children, and left 23 others wounded. The strike, carried out by 2 Israeli missiles, directly hit tents housing displaced families. Let's listen in to the eyewitnesses.
ما قاعدين في امان الله ولا شفنا اشي هيك بضوي احمر فقعت بعدها الخيام قلنا هي الخيام بنحرق ايش في هذه منطقه امنه مواصي الا هو فجرت المكان قالوا لنا اطلع من الخيمه على البحر لا احنا طلعنا لقيتها الخيام بتنحرق اللي جنبهم ايش في حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ايش عملوا لهم اطفال صغار اطفال اشلاء طلعوا زي ما هم ايش في اي انسانيه اللي بيحكوا عنها
هذا المكان آمن، احنا كنا مش آمنين هيك الحين. بعد اللي شفناه أطفال قاعدة تنحرق داخل الخيمة، تمام، مش قادرين نعمل لهم أي شيء. من ضمنهم طفل مقعد كان قاعد، تمام، قاعد بنحرق، احنا مش عارفين نسوي أي شيء.
Well, meanwhile, officials also reported 2 additional attacks on other camps, which resulted in 8 more deaths and several injuries. In Beit Lahia in northern Gaza, 7 people were killed in a strike on tents, while another attack near Al-Mawasi killed a father and his child. The strikes have raised the death toll amongst displaced Palestinians, already struggling with limited shelter and resources amidst the ongoing conflict. Meanwhile, 2 official leaders have confirmed that talks on an Israeli truce proposal are nearly complete, with a response expected soon, potentially by the end of the day, once discussions are finalized. On the other hand, Israel has declared that 30% of Gaza is now a buffer zone as its military offensive intensifies. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed Israel's commitment to blocking humanitarian aid into the territory. The renewed air and ground assaults have ended a 2-month ceasefire, with the UN reporting that around 500,000 Palestinians have been displaced since March 18, calling it Gaza's worst humanitarian crisis since the conflict began. Israeli forces have struck over 1,200 targets, and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant stated Gaza is becoming smaller and more isolated. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has instructed his team to continue negotiations for the release of hostages held by officials. Officials are reportedly preparing a formal response to Israel's latest ceasefire and hostage deal proposal. Ross Feingold, a political risk analyst, is back with us on the broadcast. He's in fact live from Taiwan. Ross Feingold, where do you see this conflict headed with these latest assaults by Israel?
It seems that Israel is going to continue its assaults and/or occupation of territory, whether that's in Gaza, in Syria, or in Lebanon, where there's been significant Israel military activity in the past 24 hours. And the United States is firmly behind the Netanyahu government of Israel in Israel's actions up to now. So whether that's proceeding with attacking Hamas in Gaza, occupying land in Gaza, Syria, or Lebanon, the Trump administration is firmly behind Israel. And at the same time, there still is talks going on through intermediaries about reaching a new ceasefire in Gaza. It's going to be a big challenge to reach a consensus on a ceasefire, but at least the sides are still talking through the intermediaries.
Ross, as far as, of course, now the situation in Gaza is concerned, what are the reports you are getting? Because reportedly Israel is trying to block humanitarian assistance as well, even as, of course, the area of the conflict, of course, continues to grow, and people continue to, get put in a very limited space in the middle of Gaza. What are the latest situations on ground? What are the reports you are getting?
Yeah, the United Nations has been very outspoken in recent days about the humanitarian situation and the lack of food, water, and fuel in Gaza. Now, perhaps this is going to encourage or spur Hamas to reach some kind of accommodation with Israel for a ceasefire that would include a resumption of the deliveries of humanitarian aid. For now, Israel's position is that there's sufficient amount of food, fuel, and water in Gaza, even though international NGOs and the UN are saying something different. But again, ultimately, in my own opinion, this is up to Hamas, because Hamas still claims to be the governing authority. It's Hamas that started the war. And if Hamas wants humanitarian aid to be delivered to the population of Gaza, they're going to have to agree to release hostages and not insist that Israel make a full military withdrawal, which is something that Israel is not going to agree on as part of a ceasefire at the current time.
Yes. What about the the negotiations to get out the hostages? What kind of progress has been made on that front?
Well, both sides are going to have to relent a little bit, whether that's Hamas or the government of Israel. And it's very difficult to say which side has the upper hand. But again, I would say that Israel might have an advantage because of the denial of aid, however terrible that might be. But it's Hamas that's going to have to relent and agree to release a significant number of the hostages, because the Palestinians in Gaza, they need the aid. They need water, they need fuel, they need food. And they're looking towards their leadership, which is Hamas, to allow that aid in. So I think Hamas is going to have to relent and agree to release hostages in order for there to be a ceasefire. But Hamas's position that Israel needs to withdraw entirely, frankly, that's just not realistic.
Yes. Also, Ross, as far as, of course, now pressure from the West and the Middle East is concerned, is that working to bring about a deal, to bring about a ceasefire? Because suddenly those talks have hit a stalemate, it seems.
Certainly Egypt and Qatar, they've been the intermediaries multiple times between Hamas and Israel. I think both sides, both Israel and Hamas, trust the ability of Egypt and Qatar to serve as intermediaries. I think both sides also trust the United States as well, notwithstanding that the United States firmly supports Israel. And obviously, Hamas knows that. But as far as passing messages and outlining a framework of an agreement, I think even Hamas realizes that the United States plays a role in that process as well. So there are interlocutors. It's really a question, I think, again, both sides have to relent a little bit, but it's probably going to be Hamas that has to relent more than Israel, because Hamas has to drop its demand that Israel make a full military withdrawal before there's a ceasefire.
Ross Feingold, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on that big story. And that's all the time we have.